So Donald Trump said, let's not make the solution worse than the virus itself. Coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. And as always, thank y'all for joining me today. So everybody knows that we are in the grip of this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, and it say that the gestation period of this thing is about 30 days or 30 to 40 days. So therefore, we are on the tail end of it, and we are on the back end of it, thank God. Now, I believe that this whole pandemic thing is being overhyped by the media because, there's powers of be that have invested interest in making this thing as worse as possible to inflate the numbers. We know they've been inflating the numbers. And of course, those powers of be, as always, they're going to say, give us more power to address this thing. That's what they always do. But when Trump said, let's not let the solution be worse than the problem, well, what did he mean? Well, first of all, of course, he was criticized by the left because the left are always going to criticize him about anything. Donald Trump can tie his shoelaces and somebody somewhere is going to find something negative about it. But anyway, what did he mean? Well, basically, it's the economy, stupid. That old saying. Our economy, we have the most powerful, or we are the most powerful nation in the world, have the largest economy in the world. And people see it as strong, can't be harmed. But I'm sorry, our economy is a lot fragile than people want to think, and there's a lot of moving parts, machinery to this economy, mostly small business owners. And this economy is dependent upon activity. And as long as it's shut down because of the quarantine, there won't be any activity. And you look at a lot of these small business owners, as that old saying go, they live in paycheck to paycheck. They have to be open to justify staying open or having a business because they can't survive being shut down for too long. Unlike the multinational corporations who have the capital to basically absorb all of this. So most people don't. So eventually, when the economy gets up and going again, there's going to be a lot of people who really truly won't be able to get the economy going, who won't be able to start back up because they've exhausted all their resources. All the resources that they would use to run their business has had to go surviving because they weren't making any more money. So when things start back up, there's going to be a lot of small businesses who are going to find issues and won't be able to start for it. For instance, let's say if you have a shipping company, a fleet, a small company that own a fleet of like maybe 5 to 6 trucks or so, and they do shipping from manufacturers, small manufacturers to small business owners. Now, when the quarantine is lifted and everything gets going again, and they were able to absorb all of this, they were able to go through the quarantine and then come back. However, the warehouse that they pick up the freight from hasn't recovered, and the restaurants and the small stores that they deliver to didn't recover. So now they have trucks with no freight to deliver and nobody to deliver it to. So essentially, still in the quarantine and unable to bounce back. They're going to go out of business as well. And it can go either way. Hell, you could say that the factories are open running, the businesses, the restaurants, the stores open and running, but the shipping companies weren't able to start back up. So you got factories with freight and no way to ship it, and you have restaurants with need of freight but nobody to ship it to. Again, all these parts of the machine all require constant movement of the economy to keep it running. Now let's look at the virus. At worst, which can you expect to happen to us if let's say if we never shut it down and the economy kept going? At worst, how can we expect maybe at worst, the highest projection that you could possibly make is what 500,000 deaths because of this virus was supposed to be so bad, which the evidence doesn't show that. Well, how many people in America you think would die if we have an economic collapse? Well, let's look at the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, millions have died of starvation. And you look at the makeup of the society back then, 30% of the population was agrarian. They lived on farms, they grew in food and plants. Well, today, about 5% of the Americans are agrarian based and grow food. And we have a much larger population than they do, a population that basically don't know how to feed themselves. And if the food stops showing up on grocery stores, we will have mass starvation. And we will have chaos and disorder. Millions will die. And if you happen to survive the starvation, you're able to feed yourself. Well, then now after you feed yourself and you survive the initial impact, well, once chaos and disorder kicked in, and the government is not going to be it because they're going to be saving their own lives. The police officer is not going to be able to do nothing because, for the most part, law and order is dependent upon basically a willing populace. And if the populace are not willing, there won't be any law and disorder. So there's going to be complete chaos and disorder. Then you have to defend yourself from all the gangs who are going to be out around lording and holding people's stuff so that they can survive. Again, an economic collapse is far worse than anything that this virus can do, even if it's as bad as they're saying it could be, which again we haven't seen any evidence. So if you give me the choice of having to deal with a virus or an economic collapse, I'm going with the virus. Because even if you get the virus, which I suspect many more people out there than they're saying have gotten it, there have been tests and studies that show that the people didn't have the virus, but they basically had the antivirus or the immunity to it, the antibodies, and which means that they got it and they fought it off like people do with viruses all the time. But I take a virus over an economic collapse any day. Any day, then the mass chaos and disorder that will come from a collapse. Again, this is what Trump means by let's not let the solution be worse than the problem. And what it is we really truly getting to the brink of letting the solution be worse than the problem by having the economy shut down for so long. And I'm pretty sure there's already ramifications. We just haven't seen it yet. But we got to get the economy up and running before it's too late. And so I completely agree with Donald Trump on this. Let's get the economy going, yo. That's just my 2 cents on this. And I know everybody have different opinions. I've already heard them. But anyway, as always, y'all, until next time.